Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. My ammo man, that's Jeff Hoffman over at Black Hills Ammo. Jeff joins us right now. How you doing, partner?
Hey, doing well, Tom. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, you bet. Anytime we get to chat about this stuff, well, actually anything else, we have a good time.
We always do.
Okay, so I sent you a little note, said I'm getting ready for hunting season, and this year I'm going to do elk and deer, and Ryan's going to come up and hunt elk and deer, and I went a little crazy. I bought an ultralight armed 7mm 08, and I know people say that, well, 708's light. I'm thinking, yeah, it's basically almost a souped-up 7x57, and people shoot moose with that. But still, I understand it's not a 338, and I thought, okay, well, let's ask Jeff. Given that, and I'm trying to figure out what bullet and what to do, and you said you probably have some thoughts, so I'm going to get out of the way and let you wade in on this one.
I think that you're adequate. You're a well-experienced shooter, know what you're doing, and willing to pick your shots. I think you're going to be in good shape with that rifle, Tom. There's several key things. There's shot placement, pick your shots, have a good zero, know the range. And on top of that, you got to have a good bullet, because elk are big critters, and you want to have something that's going to hold together to get to where it needs to be. And anymore, I really lean a lot on monolithic bullets. And if I were using a 708, I think I'd look to one of the Hornady or Barnes monolithic bullets, something like the 120 to 150 grain range.
Right.
And people, might look at that. If you haven't studied monolithic bullets, you might look at it and say, Jeff, really, a 120 grain bullet for an elk? And the thing is, these monolithic bullets don't lose their weight the way a conventional lead bullet does. So you can use a lighter bullet than what you would normally expect and still get really good penetration. So I think either in the Hornady CX, which is their monolithic copper, or
right,
just like TSX or tipped TSX, something between 120 and 150 grains. Just try them and see what shoots best in your gun. Know your zero at different distances. Pick your shot. I think you're going to be in good shape. I don't see a problem at all with 708, Tom, with you shooting it.
Well, I appreciate that. One of the problems we have, guys like us who've been doing this for so long, at least for me, is that I look at it and go, okay, for elk, I need a heavier bullet. I need a bigger bullet, a heavier bullet. I need the deep penetration. And that's true as long as you're using bullets that are made the same, have the same construction. But in your case, you're not having to live off of what we used to do, because you got a ballistics lab. You actually get to shoot this stuff and see what it does in gelatin.
We've learned a lot doing that, and that's one of the things I've learned. I've mentioned it to you before. I was originally really skeptical about monolithic bullets, but having our own lab where we're shooting gel weekly, if not daily, and we get to see what they do. And these monolithic bullets, they open up right away. I used to think, they're harder than lead. You can't get them to open up. I was wrong. The way they make these things, you can design them to open up immediately, but yet retain a very, very high percentage of their weight. You use that to punch through bone and punch deep enough on something like elk. I've really become a fan of these monolithic bullets, and they don't have to be as heavy as what you used to think in lead bullets. You used to think, if I was doing a 7mm, I'd need a 150 to 175 grain bullet. That's not really the case with the monolithics. For me, shooting elk, I'd probably limit my shots to about 300 yards. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a long time ago to wait for the right shot. I typically try to get a standing broadside shot if I can get it. If you got enough caliber, it would take a frontal shot. But on something as big as an elk, if a guy can get a standing broadside shot, that's probably the way to do it.
Obviously, putting the bullet in the right place is the key. You don't have a problem with that, you being a trained sniper, and I've seen you shoot. I've shot with you. I remember with your range one time, we were goofing off, and you said, wait a minute, there's a fly on the target. Do you remember this?
We had a Colt prototype rifle that we were shooting.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And the fly started crawling off the paper, and I guess it was his unlucky day because he ended up splattered.
Well, we went up there. There was a bullet hole, and I am not making this up. There was a wing on either side of the bullet hole stuck to the target.
There's times when everything works out good, but right there, we had a known range, had a good rest, a rifle that was zeroed, all the things that you also need for for shooting bigger critters with.
Yeah.
Although ballistically, we were adequate at that time.
I think you had enough gun. Okay, well, talk about these monolithics. Let me switch because I just bought another. I'm silly about this. I'm buying these older guns. Another ultralight arms Melvin Forbes rifle, and this one was a 1995 model in 223, which means it has a 1 in 12 twist rate. That restricts us on bullets, right?
It will. With a 1 in 12, Tom, in a conventional bullet, you can get away with up to a 60 grain bullet generally and have good accuracy. Once you get above that length of bullet, most people think it's weight, but it's only weight because heavier bullets get longer. But generally with a 1 in 12, you can't shoot any bullets longer than what you're going to get with a lead cord 60 grain bullet. A lead cord 60 grain bullet, and of course, if you're gonna, I've shot a lot of deer with a 223, and I've learned some stuff the hard way. You want to get as good a performing bullet as you can if you're going to use that in a 223, which in a conventional bullet, 60 grain soft point works pretty good. What I've seen is if you get a deer broadside and you do a double lung on him at under 200 yards, he doesn't know that you didn't just shoot him with a 30-06.
Well, I see that you're loading a 223 or a 556 with the 50 grain Barnes TSX bullet. Why wouldn't that work on deer?
That works good in the 223 line. We offer a 55 TSX, and I think that would be my choice there. I think that would be a great choice in your rifle, Tom. We should get some on the way because I'd enjoy having you field tested on a deer and send me autopsy results.
That would be way too much fun. So what are you guys working on? Every time I go over there, you're tinkering, and there's like in the back room, you say, well, this is a load we're doing for a special unit somewhere. You can't take any pictures of that. What are you working on these days?
Oh, lately, the stuff that we can talk about, we've been lucky enough to get some contracts on, there's a program called Advanced Sniper Rifle where we're producing some 338 Norma and 300 Norma. That's something that's hit the open news. If you search it, it's pretty commonly known that Barrett's making a rifle for it, a good bolt action rifle, really accurate. And we're one of the companies selected to make ammunition for that. We've been working a lot on that one. Good long range, really good long range calibers there, 338 Norma and 300 Norma.
What do you have to do to make your ammo so accurate? Because across the board, your ammo just always shoots.
Basically, you got to start off with good components, and that's one of the advantages we have is since we don't make our own, we can select the best from all of our industry friends, but you got to select the right propellant. In this case, since it's long distance, you need a good high BC bullet. This was made easy for us because on this one, the government, I think, worked with Army Marksmanship Unit a lot, who does a lot of their development, and they selected some bullets for this program, and they selected some really good high BC bullets and bullets capable of just great accuracy.
A high BC bullet, even if you had to start it off slower, catches up and actually starts to exceed the performance of a lower ballistic coefficient bullet.
That's right. And most everybody that's listening are gun geeks, so they understand high BC, but for the few out there that aren't, basically what a high ballistic coefficient is, it just means the bullet is more efficient going through the air. It's slipperier, so it loses its velocity at a slower rate. So if you've got a good high BC bullet, you don't have to squeak the last bit of horsepower and velocity out of it. You can run it at a comfortable pressure and velocity and still have really good results downrange.
So, are you doing any hunting this year?
Plan to. I got my antelope tag and got a deer tag already. Got a bow tag. That's mostly exercise for me. I'm not a real good bow hunter, but I get to spend a lot of time in the field. I've spent many hours crouched in snow 50 yards away waiting for that deer to get closer.
Yeah.
I'm not a 50-yard shooter.
I understand. It's exactly right. So I call it taking my rifle or my bow for a walk.
Yep, that's it exactly. I think Thomas Jefferson said it once. He said the best exercise, I'm paraphrasing, but the best exercise you can get is a walk in the field with your rifle.
I like that. So what rifle are you going to take for antelope?
Oh, I'll probably use the same thing I always do. I've got a Robar SR60 and 308 that I've shot a lot over the past 27 years, and that's what I'm used to. That's probably what I'll use. It's a little bit heavy, and it's not the fastest, most modern caliber, but it works real good. And I've shot so many thousands of rounds through a 308 that I'm just comfortable with it.
Was there anything new at Black Hills that you guys are cranking out, or are you just trying to keep up these days?
Mostly trying to keep up. There's a lot going on. We keep chasing contracts, and plus we never did really catch up with all of the demand that happened during this last surge. There's a lot of that business that came and went, and we did our best to fill it. But it's always a challenge when there's a surge, when everybody is uncomfortable with the government and they start buying guns and ammo. There's just no way anybody can keep up with that deal. And
right. And you don't compete at that lower end. I mean, you make really good ammo that always shoots well, and you maintain that standard. And for your customers, they understand that, and that's why they stay with you.
Yeah, years ago we used to try to. We weren't as seasoned early on. We didn't understand everything, and we were trying to compete with some of the most economical stuff out there. And what we learned is there's always somebody cheaper. Back in 1989, nearly went out of business trying to keep up with the most economical stuff. And what changed it was we made a decision that we're going to sell on the basis of quality, price, and service, and get a fair return on what we're making. And if we didn't succeed, we'd at least go down with our flag flying high. And fortunately, that formula worked out really good. Our customers understand it. They appreciate value. They understand value is more than just price. It's what you get out of it, the accuracy, the performance, the reliability. And we have a pretty loyal following, so we're very fortunate for that.
Well, I can just tell you, I never find any ammo that shoots any better than yours, and I can't get my hand loads to shoot as well as yours most of the time. So you are the standard by which I judge other ammo.
We have to be that way because that's all we have to sell.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much. I appreciate the tips and the suggestions on my hunting ammo this year, and I am going to get some of that 223 with the Barnes copper bullets in it. I got to try that and see what that does.
I'll send you some of those. I can't help you on 708. That's one of them that somehow we never picked up along the way.
As you might imagine, I've got a whole lot of bullets sitting there on the shelves, and I can load some of those up myself as well.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that for a moment. I forgot you're a dedicated hand loader.
Oh, yeah. We'll make them that way, too. So it doesn't matter. We'll figure out some way to throw something downrange.
Sounds good, Tom. Thank you for having me on.
You bet. Thanks so much, Jeff. I appreciate that. Jeff Hoffman, Black Hills Ammo. It's black-hills.com. Don't go far. We'll be right back.